waking up multiple times in the night, needing to go to the bathroom, shuffling down the hall in the dark, hoping you don't trip over the cat or the rug. It's frustrating, isn't it? That deep sleep you were just starting to enjoy gets broken, and getting back to sleep can feel impossible. Maybe it happens once, maybe 2, 3, even 4 times a night. It leaves you feeling groggy, tired, and just plain worn out the next day. You know that feeling, the lack of energy, the difficulty concentrating, the overall sense that you just didn't get enough rest. And as we get a little older, it seems like this happens more and more often. For many men over 60, this frequent nighttime urgency is linked to the prostate gland, which often starts to enlarge as we age, something doctors call benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. It presses on the urethra, making it harder to empty the bladder fully and making you feel like you need to go constantly, even when there's not much there. But here's a surprising truth. While an enlarged prostate is common, how much it bothers you at night isn't just about the size of the gland. A lot of it comes down to surprisingly simple habits you might not even realize you're doing in the hours before you go to bed. These seemingly small things can have a big impact on how your prostate and bladder behave while you're trying to sleep. They can be the difference between sleeping through the night and making multiple trips to the loo. The secret isn't always a pill or a procedure. Sometimes it's just about making smarter choices in the evening. In this video, we're going to look at 5 specific night habits that are likely affecting your prostate and causing those disruptive bathroom breaks. Understanding these habits and making small adjustments can significantly improve your sleep and your quality of life. Make sure you watch right to the very end, because something's coming up that I think will genuinely surprise you and offer a lot of hope. Let's dive right into the first habit that can really disrupt your nighttime peace when it comes to your prostate, and that is simply drinking too much fluid too close to bedtime. Now, I know this sounds incredibly obvious, almost too simple, but the timing and the type of fluid you consume in the evening can make a massive difference. Think about it. Your kidneys are constantly filtering waste and excess water from your blood to produce urine. This process doesn't just shut off when you decide it's time for bed. If you fill your tank up just before you try to go to sleep, you're giving your kidneys a lot of work to do while you're lying down. The bladder, already potentially squeezed by an enlarged prostate, doesn't have as much storage capacity before it starts sending those urgent signals to your brain that it needs to be emptied. For many men over 60, the recommendation is often to significantly cut back on fluid intake in the last couple of hours before heading to bed. This isn't about dehydration during the day. Staying well hydrated throughout the morning and afternoon is incredibly important for overall health. It's specifically about managing the volume of liquid entering your system in the critical period leading up to sleep. Now, too much can vary from person to person, but a general guideline is to start limiting fluid intake 2 to 3 hours before your usual bedtime. If you typically go to bed around 10 p.m., try to stop drinking large amounts of fluids after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Small sips are usually fine if you're really thirsty, but chugging a big glass of water or having multiple cups of tea or coffee in the late evening is a definite no-no if nighttime urination is a problem for you. It's also not just about the amount of fluid, but also the type of fluid. And this leads us smoothly into the second important night habit, to consider consuming caffeine or alcohol in the hours before bed. These substances have a dual negative effect when it comes to nighttime prostate and bladder issues. First, both caffeine and alcohol are diuretics. What does that mean? It means they increase urine production. So, not only are you putting liquid into your body, but these substances are actively telling your kidneys to get rid of liquid faster than they normally would. This means your bladder fills up more quickly, leading to more frequent urges to urinate. If your prostate is already making it harder to empty your bladder completely when you do go, this increased production just compounds the problem. Second, alcohol can interfere with the quality of your sleep itself. While a drink might make you feel sleepy initially, it disrupts your sleep cycle later in the night, leading to lighter, more fragmented sleep. When you're in a lighter stage of sleep, you're much more likely to be woken up by the sensation of a full bladder, even if it's not critically full. Deep sleep is much more forgiving. Your brain is better at ignoring those signals until the need is more urgent. Alcohol also irritates the bladder lining, which can increase urgency and frequency independent of its diuretic effect. Similarly, caffeine is a stimulant, and while its primary effect on urine production is key here, residual stimulating effects can also contribute to fragmented sleep, making you more sensitive to bladder signals. Think about your evening routine. Do you have a cup of coffee after dinner? Maybe a few beers or a glass of wine while watching TV? These seemingly innocent habits could be precisely what's sending you to the bathroom multiple times a night. The impact of caffeine can last for several hours, sometimes up to 6 hours or even longer in some individuals. So, that 7 p.m. cup of coffee, or even certain types of tea could still be affecting you at 1 a.m. Alcohol is often consumed closer to bedtime, and its diuretic effect and sleep disruption happen while you're trying to rest. Making a change here involves being really mindful of your evening beverages. Switch from caffeinated tea or coffee to decaffeinated versions, or, even better, herbal teas that are not known for diuretic effects. Water is always a good option earlier in the day. But remember the timing issue we just discussed. For alcohol, consider cutting it out completely in the evenings, or at the very least, significantly reducing the amount and consuming it much earlier in the evening, finishing several hours before bed. Experimenting is key here. You might find that even a small amount of alcohol or caffeine late in the day has a significant impact on your nighttime symptoms. It might take a little adjusting to change these habits, especially if they are deeply ingrained in your evening routine. But the potential benefit of better, uninterrupted sleep is huge. Imagine the difference it would make to wake up feeling truly rested, just from changing what you drink and when you drink it in the evening. It's a simple change with potentially life-altering results for your sleep and energy levels. Now that we've talked about what you drink and when, let's move on to what you eat, because that can also play a significant role in those nighttime trips to the bathroom. Picking up where we left off with late-night habits impacting your prostate, let's talk about what you eat and when you eat it. This brings us to the third crucial habit to consider: eating inflammatory or acidic foods close to bedtime. Just like certain drinks, certain foods can act as bladder irritants. When the bladder is irritated, it becomes more sensitive and tends to signal the need to empty more frequently, even if it's not very full. And with an enlarged prostate already making things tricky, an irritated bladder is the last thing you need when you're trying to sleep. What kinds of foods are we talking about? Common culprits include spicy foods, acidic foods like citrus fruits and tomatoes or tomato-based sauces, think pasta sauce on your evening meal, chocolate, artificial sweeteners, and highly processed foods high in sugar and unhealthy fats. These foods can cause inflammation throughout the body, and the bladder lining is particularly susceptible to this irritation. Eating a large, heavy meal, especially one containing these types of irritating foods, right before bed, means your digestive system is working hard while you're trying to rest. This can add pressure and discomfort, and the inflammatory compounds from these foods are circulating at the worst possible time. The key here is twofold: mindful food choices and timing. First, try to finish your evening meal at least 2 to 3 hours before you plan to go to bed. This gives your body ample time to digest the food and for any potential irritants to pass through the system before you lie down for the night. Second, be mindful of the types of food you're eating in the evening. If you know spicy food tends to bother you during the day, it's almost certainly going to bother your bladder at night. Pay attention to how certain foods affect you and try to minimize or eliminate known bladder irritants from your evening meals. Especially if you're struggling with nighttime urgency, opt for lighter, easily digestible foods in the evening, something like baked fish or chicken with steamed vegetables, or a simple salad with a light dressing. Avoid heavy, creamy sauces, large portions of red meat, or very fibrous foods that take a long time to digest. Think of your evening meal as winding down your body's processes, not revving them up. Making conscious choices about your late-night snacks, if you even need one, is also important. Instead of reaching for chocolate or chips, maybe a small piece of fruit earlier in the evening is a better choice, or even just a small handful of plain nuts. Moving on to the fourth habit, which might not seem directly related to your bladder, but absolutely impacts it at night, is being inactive in the hours leading up to sleep. Many of us fall into a routine in the evening where we settle down after dinner, maybe watch TV, read, or sit at the computer. While relaxation is important, becoming completely sedentary for several hours before bed can be detrimental to nighttime bladder function, particularly when the prostate is involved. When you're active during the day, gravity helps fluids move through your body, and excess fluid tends to accumulate in your legs and feet. When you lie down flat at night, this accumulated fluid is gradually reabsorbed back into your bloodstream. Your kidneys then process this fluid, increasing urine production precisely when you're trying to sleep. This phenomenon is known as nocturnal polyuria, which simply means producing a large amount of urine at night. Being inactive in the evening exacerbates this. If you sit or lie down for a long stretch, that fluid reabsorption and subsequent urine production can happen more rapidly right as you get into bed. Incorporating some light activity in the hours before bed can help. This doesn't mean going for a vigorous run or hitting the gym. That's likely to be too stimulating and interfere with sleep. We're talking about gentle movement. A leisurely walk around the block for 15-20 minutes a couple of hours before bed can be incredibly beneficial. Doing some light stretching, gentle yoga, or even just pottering around the house doing small chores rather than sitting still for hours can help prevent that rapid fluid shift once you lie down. This allows your kidneys to process some of that excess fluid before you get into bed, potentially reducing the amount of urine produced during the initial hours of sleep. Think of it as giving your body a chance to deal with some of that fluid while you're still upright, rather than waiting until you're horizontal. It's a subtle change, but combined with managing fluid intake, it can make a noticeable difference in reducing nighttime urine volume. Now, for the fifth and final night habit we're focusing on, and it's something many men, especially as they get older, might be doing without even realizing how it impacts their nighttime symptoms, ignoring bladder signals, or rushing urination right before bed. We often get into a habit of going to the bathroom, just in case, right before we switch off the light, even if we don't feel a strong urge. Or, conversely, we might ignore the initial signal because we're engrossed in a TV show or a book, holding it for longer than necessary. Then, when we finally do go, we're in a hurry to get back to bed, and we don't take the time to ensure the bladder is fully emptied. This is particularly important with an enlarged prostate. BPH can make it harder for the bladder to empty completely. If you rush, strain, or don't relax properly, you leave a residual urine in the bladder. That small amount left behind means the bladder will fill up again, sooner, leading to an earlier wake-up call to go to the bathroom. It's like not quite finishing the job. The bladder capacity is effectively reduced because there's always a baseline amount of urine left inside. The habit to cultivate higher is mindful and complete bladder emptying before bed. When you go to the bathroom the last time before turning in, take your time. Sit down if necessary. For many men, sitting can help the pelvic floor muscles relax more effectively, allowing for better bladder emptying than standing, especially with an enlarged prostate. Don't rush. Allow the flow to complete naturally. Once you think you're finished, try waiting a few moments, relaxing, and trying again. This technique is often called double voiding or delayed voiding, and it can be surprisingly effective at getting out those last few ounces of urine that might otherwise contribute to an early morning bathroom trip. It takes a little patience, but ensuring your bladder is as empty as possible before you settle in for the night gives you the best chance of staying asleep until morning. Ignoring that initial urge earlier in the evening is also not a good strategy. It can overstretch the bladder over time and potentially make urgency worse. It's better to go when you first feel the need, within reason, but then focus on that complete emptying just before bed. So, those are the 5 night habits: excessive late-night fluid intake, consuming caffeine or alcohol in the evening, eating inflammatory or acidic foods close to bedtime, being too sedentary in the hours before sleep, and ignoring bladder signals or rushing urination before bed. It might seem like a lot to consider, but remember, making even 1 or 2 small adjustments in these areas can have a significant positive effect on how well you sleep through the night. Think about which of these habits resonates most with you. Which one do you suspect might be contributing the most to your nighttime woes? Start there. Tackling one habit at a time can feel much less overwhelming than trying to change everything at once. Changing long-standing habits takes time and consistency. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. or if you have a night where things don't go as planned. It's about progress, not perfection. Maybe one night you have that extra cup of tea or sit watching TV longer than you intended. That's okay. Just get back on track the next evening. The goal is to reduce the frequency and severity of those nighttime bathroom trips, not necessarily eliminate them entirely. Although for some, these changes might do just that. Remember, small changes really can make a big difference to your health and happiness. Getting a full, uninterrupted night's sleep impacts everything: your energy levels during the day, your mood, your ability to concentrate, and even your overall physical health. Chronic sleep deprivation, even from being woken up multiple times, takes a toll on the body. By addressing these simple evening habits, you're not just potentially reducing bathroom trips, you're investing in better sleep, which is fundamental to healthy aging and maintaining a high quality of life. You deserve to feel rested and energetic. I encourage you to think about your own evening routine and identify where you might be able to make some of these adjustments. Maybe it's switching from coffee to decaf after lunch, or making sure you take a short walk after dinner instead of sitting straight down. Perhaps it's being more mindful about spicy food in the evening, or simply taking an extra minute to really empty your bladder before you get into bed. Even making these small tweaks can start to shift things in the right direction. I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried any of these strategies before? Are there other evening habits you found helpful for managing nighttime prostate or bladder issues? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. Your insights could be incredibly helpful to others watching this video. Let's build a community of support and shared wisdom. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a thumbs up. That really helps the channel reach more people who could benefit from this advice. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos that can help you live your best life at every age. We cover all sorts of topics related to health, wellness, and making the most of these golden years. Taking control of your nighttime habits is a powerful step towards reclaiming your sleep and improving your overall well-being. Don't underestimate the power of these simple, actionable strategies. You have the ability to make positive changes that can significantly improve your comfort and rest. Live your best life at every age. You've got this.